Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Hurricane Watch Team is here with your update on the tropics here. We have Hurricane Bonnie weakening over the East Pacific. As you can see, it's going to continue to weaken. I believe it's about 75 knots. About 75, 85, 75 knots. That's about 80, 85 miles per hour right there. It's going to continue to be moving off into the west-northwest direction as it begins moving into cooler water and moving into a generally just a more unfavorable environment overall. However, we do have an area of disturbed weather behind it. Invest 95E. I did mention about this earlier yesterday, not too a couple hours after my stream. After my video, I should say, yesterday, we are looking at this system, but it's going to continue moving off to the west, and we should not see any direct impacts from it in Mexico at all, because it's been moving away from Mexico, and the biggest threats that it might actually bring to Mexico will just be, some rip currents, some waves, and stuff like that. So nothing too crazy at all with this system. It's going to be moving away. It could actually become a hurricane. As you can see, I do want to point out the fact that we are seeing a decent amount of obviously deep thunderstorm activity in this area, as you can see. Still trying to consolidate its center of circulation. It will make its way off to generally this direction right here. Be moving off to the west, maybe northwest a little bit. Who knows? Based on that general off to the west, generally off to the west, but it'll be intensifying, and really, I wouldn't even, at this point, I wouldn't even say by the time it really starts getting itself together, it'll really be too far away from the coast of Mexico to really produce any big waves. This is going to be way out here. It's going to be hundreds of miles away. Maybe we'll still get some swells. I know they're definitely getting some swells throughout here. Portions and just generally just this whole area of Mexico right there. They're certainly going to be getting some. They're certainly going to be getting some, rough seas, some rip currents, and stuff like that. Some waves are also going to be looking a little rough for Mexico in that area. So I do want to go to the National Hurricane Center and show you what the latest update is on this tropical system. Wow, we got another system. Lord, it just doesn't stop, right? So as you can see right here, it does have a 30% chance of development in the next 48 hours, a 70% chance of development in the next 5 days. So offshore southwestern Mexico, a tropical wave is, so as you can see, just the conditions are going to be conducive for this system to develop. As you can see here, we also have this system, which has a low chance of the next 5 days. So we're going to be closely monitoring that system. Both systems will be moving away from the coast of Mexico, so no direct impacts are expected to Mexico at all. I do want to go to the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. Do not believe that they are showing any kind of systems expected to develop. Nope, they are not. However, there are some systems that the GFS and other models are showing within the next 120 hours or within the next 5 days. And that's something I do want to closely monitor. Right now, nothing super crazy. With what we're currently seeing from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. So I'm going to head over to Tropical Tidbits here. I'm going to go to forecast models and take a look at what we have here in the first one. Take a look at the Eastern Pacific. As you can see, here is 997 millibars. It's falling apart relatively quickly. So as you can see, that is Bonnie, Hurricane Bonnie, soon to be a tropical storm and a tropical depression. Might become a tropical storm later today. So as you can see, it really doesn't get itself going really well. It does get itself pretty far west. And by that point, it's thousands of miles easily, over 1,000 miles away from Mexico. And again, by that point, swells, you aren't going to have swells doing this. They're not going to go that far. That's just not logical. You're going to have swells in the general area of the hurricane / tropical cyclone or system, but you're not going to have, it's not going to be affecting thousands and thousands of miles like that, I don't think. However, as this system continues to move west, we do in fact expect another system behind it to develop, as you can see, relatively stronger, moving more to the northwest, and could be a much more bigger threat to, not a direct impact to Mexico. However, it is expected to bring, definitely rip currents, as you can see here. This is 180 hours out. That's really too far out. 120 hours is really all I want to do. And even then, it really doesn't look that well. As you can see, maybe closed southern circulation right here. Some thunderstorm activity. Air pressure would have to get a little bit lower. To me, right now, 120 hours out from now, I don't think that just it's very well developed. It's not a very well developed system in 120 hours, and it needs more time. However, this system out here in the Eastern Pacific, just out there and just doing what it's got to do. Gotta take a quick look and see what the GFS is showing about MS 95E here over the next several days. Just a little curious about what they're expecting in terms of intensity. However, the system behind it could become a little bit more intense. As you can see, it does intensify slowly. It does reach tropical storm force. That's in 84 hours. So that's in over 3.5, 4 days. As you can see, it really begins to intensify. It really looks like it doesn't even really become a hurricane, thank God. But 65 mile per hour tropical storm. It is extremely tropical storm status, but it isn't expected to become a hurricane. But that could all change. Depends on if there's low wind shear, if there's moist air in the mid level of the atmosphere, in the vertical column of the atmosphere, if everything is stacked. The reason it wouldn't be stacked is because of wind shear tilting, pushing it over at those if there are upper level winds blowing across the system. Oops. I do want to take a look at the West Pacific now. The North Atlantic is not expected to have any kind of tropical system because of the Madden-Julian oscillation. There's currently a lot of sinking air. There's not a lot of lifts occurring in the atmosphere at this time. The system, any systems that do develop, I don't think would really benefit, wouldn't really develop very well. I guess you could say developing the cracks of the imperfections of the MJO. Trying to suppress everything in the North Atlantic. But nothing, you're not going to see an Irma right now. You're not going to see a Harvey. You're not going to see anything intense. You're definitely not going to see a Bonnie, that's not going to happen. You're not going to see a 115 mile an hour hurricane in the North Atlantic right now. There's just too much sinking air. The dry air is just dominating the North Atlantic Ocean right now. There is a huge plume of dust right now, and there's just too much sinking air. There's too much dry air. There's nothing to allow lift and vertical lift to happen in the atmosphere right now in the North Atlantic. So let's take a look and see what we got here with the West Pacific, as the West Pacific is expected to begin to generally intensify. I actually want to do start ending 120. I think this is better so I don't go over 120 hours. It literally creates a video. It doesn't just automatically play it. Well then, I didn't know that's how that worked. Okay, that's fine. So we're going to take a look at this and see what we got here. This is really probably making everything a lot longer. Did you work? Oh my God. Did you move over? So as you can do, in fact, see, there is this system down here in the West Pacific that we are going to be closely monitoring as it does it's developing off this just off the southern and east coast, I guess southeast coast of the Philippines there. And it will be making its way to the north. It could be impacting Taiwan, possibly the northern island of the Philippines, and obviously the possibility of affecting China is also a possibility. So that's a system we're definitely going to be watching here in the future. Now, this only goes out 120 hours out. So if we go into the future, you can see that system just skirting the very southern tip of Taiwan, possibly bringing tropical storm force winds, very strong winds. Storm surge is possible as you get that onshore flow. Heavy rain is also going to be a possibility, but it does seem like it's going to keep moving on and then make a landfall in China there and bring, hurricane force winds, as this will be a typhoon, typhoon force winds, I guess. Strong winds, gusty winds, very, not very cool, not very, very rough. I did want to take a look at the sea surface temperatures and just take a look and see what we got here with the West Pacific. I guess I would just do WestPac. So as you can see, the West Pacific definitely does not have water going against it in terms of sea surface temperatures. Sea surface temperatures are running in favor of tropical cyclone activity in the West Pacific. As you can see, most of the West Pacific is at 30 degrees. Look at this, 30-degree isotherm right here. I really want to just point this out. I guess I should do black. That would be easier to see. This entire area, 30 degrees centigrade. This is actually really hard to do, I'll be honest. Roughly in this entire area is 30 degrees centigrade. Can my mouse move? Thank you. It's in a huge area of the West Pacific at the 30 degrees centigrade isotherm right there. The entire Philippines is really in it. Indonesia's in it. Portions of Taiwan are in it. This is really bad. Think about it. You get even a storm developing right here, and it moves north like this and into China. I just made that up. I don't know why I made it up like that, but you get something in this area and it gets itself going. Now we also need to take a look at the tropical cyclone heat potential. What is the depth that the heat goes into the ocean? So I'm gonna actually just look that up right quick because I'm kind of curious. If I could spell West Pacific, yeah, West Pacific, TCHP. Map. There we go. I just need to save this. Good. Alright, I want to take a look at the Northwest Pacific. And just show y'all what so as you can see, the scale goes a lot higher. Now right here, we're right here, right in this area. Alright. We're right between 160. I would say right here in this general area. In this general area right throughout here, I would say that's what we got here, between 160 and 130. That's 160 joules, 160 joules, that's nothing. 160,000 joules or 160 kilojoules is at the top right there, I think. Maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit lower. That's just what I'm going with, 130 to 160 in this general area. That's a lot of energy. Alright? Most of the and that's a huge amount of energy, and I think that's going to go to a much more of a depth. Now, if you take a look down here, Papua New Guinea, and that's not Papua New Guinea, it's like, I should know what those islands are. Oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. As you can see there, that's over 200 kilojoules, 200,000 joules per square centimeter. That is a massive amount of energy. And you get something moving over in that area, you could create an absolute, well, that's in the south. Alright, because this is the equator, so most likely nothing's going to develop down there. The conditions are probably just, the conditions down there are just probably not really correct for systems down there, because you have maybe some wind shear that's south of the equator. Let me just clear this right here. So that's what we're looking at here with this. The tropical cyclone heat potential is very, very favorable for tropical cyclone tropical cyclone development. I did want to take a look. I meant to take a look at the sea surface temperatures anomalies, or the sea surface temperatures, I should say. So the depth that it goes, really right in this area. Look at this. it's generally the same depth right in here. You know, you get a typhoon moving along this area doing something like this. And it smashes into the Philippines. God forbid that happens. It just sounds like a nightmare. I probably know what system I'm talking about right there. You know, look at how deep this goes. Some areas see about 150 meters below the sea level at 26 degrees below the surface. That is a huge amount of energy. And so, when you're looking at this depth, you get a lot of energy. All you have to have is you have to have moist air. You have to have a large humidity percentage in the mid-level column of the atmosphere, in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and the low levels of the atmosphere. You have to have a lot of moisture. There's really nothing to take that out of the atmosphere. There's really not a lot of dry air. And I really think that that's a big possibility. As you take a look here, you really see lots of warm sea surface temperatures. Nothing really preventing any of this. Oh wait, this was January. Oh no, July 2nd. I got me scared. I was like, oh crap, I'm an idiot. I do want to take a look at the Atlantic, just so we have an idea of what we're taking a look at here. So as you can see here, it doesn't go as high because the Atlantic doesn't have as high tropical cyclone heat potential. But still, look at this. If you take a look at this, the Caribbean, very high in terms of heat potential. The Central Gulf of Mexico, extremely high. And so I do think, in fact, this could be a sign of what we could have to come. We get a very high tropical cyclone heat potential developing, and I think that could certainly be something bad. You get this going. We don't get any storms happening. It's kind of like a buildup. You don't get any storms happening. The tropical cyclone heat potential keeps going high on the scale, and it keeps expanding. Guess what? One storm comes right on over that, it's going to explode into a monster. If the conditions are right. And that's something I'm a little bit worried about. Not saying that's going to happen, but there's nothing to keep that down. So it's going to continue going up until something suppresses it. So you know how we had Bonnie, kind of kept everything down, kind of kept things down a little bit. You had Alex go through there. I was really off the Atlantic coast. That was a bad example. But you have these little systems. I will say 92 or 93L came through the Gulf of Mexico, the landfall in Texas. It brought those sea surface temperatures down. So every time you get some kind of a tropical system moving through, it's going to try to keep those sea surface temperatures down, and that's what's really important. That's really going to wrap it up for us today. There is something I do want to talk a little bit about. I'll just put on this. I don't know, I just think moving parts in the background are great. So I do want to talk about one last thing is if you go to Patreon/Hurricane Watch Team, there will be exclusive content. We're going to be posting a lot of stuff. We're going to be posting a lot of videos on there about systems. We're going to be posting more about our predictions. We're going to be posting about what we think, what kind of systems we think could be developing. We're going to be posting, we're also going to be posting exclusive content. Summaries of severe weather outbreaks will be posting out there. There's going to be all these really cool things that you're and much more that you're really going to enjoy. It starts out at just $1 a month. If you like it, you can upgrade to $5 a month. And if you still really like it and you want to do more, you can upgrade to $10 a month. Anything you can do to support the Hurricane Watch Team would be absolutely incredible. Thank you guys so much for watching today's tropical weather update. That's it for today. Don't forget, the Hurricane Watch Team is your source for tropical cyclone information. But that being said, peace out. See you tomorrow morning.